Hey, IAHSP, it's Chris Widener, and I am still super excited to be with you folks coming up at our conference when we finally get together. It's going to be great. But in the meantime, we can still communicate. We can still talk about some things, and I wanted just to reach out today and give you a few thoughts and ideas about how to come out of this, this pandemic that we are going through in a better place. And I really believe that it's possible. I believe that situations like this make or break people. And the making or the breaking, I believe, is mostly in our hands. Obviously, there are some things that are just giant and, and out of our hands. But there are certain things that are in our hands, under our control. And those are the things I think that really make us better people and allow us to succeed. One of the quotes that I get from that people quote of mine regularly, they'll tweet it or quote it or whatever, is that the difference between the successful and the unsuccessful is not the absence of obstacles, but the presence of perseverance. And that's the first thing that I would just really encourage us with, is that people who persevere power through and they come out on the other side in a better place. And I know that it's tough. I've been telling some friends recently that, here I am, one of the world's top motivators, right? Member of the Motivational Speakers Hall of Fame. And I was telling my wife, and I told a good friend of mine, I said, my life hasn't really changed that much because I've always worked from home. I'm obviously not traveling and such, but I said, there's just something oppressive about it. It's something that makes me just a little bit off. I'm a little more quick to be irritable and, just some of those things. So I get it. We're all going through this. But everybody's going through it. And there's some people who are going to come out of this in a better place. And I believe that it's the people who can persevere. They can reach down deep into their will, into that place, that inner core, that character that says, I am not going to be one of the ones who falls aside. We need to become fighters. We need to become people who persevere. We're all facing the obstacles. But, there's some people, they say, you greet some people and you say, how you doing? They say, oh, pretty good under the circumstances. Leaders don't live under the circumstances. Leaders succeed in spite of the circumstances. Leaders go over circumstances, they go around circumstances, and they go through circumstances. They don't get under circumstances. And so I want to challenge you to just really look in the mirror every day and say, all right, today is the day we persevere. We're going to get through one more day. There was a time in my career when I didn't know what was going to happen. I hadn't really, made it big at that point. And I can remember saying to myself regularly, one more week. I can give this one more week. One more week. And that's what I did. I didn't say where I want to be 10 years from now, 5 years from now. One more week. And that's a great way of getting you through it. So I want to challenge you to think about that. Second thing that I want to challenge you to do is to check your attitude about change. Obviously, big changes for all of us. My business, speaking business, completely gone. Like poof, no, until we open back up and people can come together again. Most of my friends and I, we're doing some virtual things, and that's great, and very thankful for those, but most of them have gone by the wayside, and I understand that we're in these same boats. But here's the thing. Your attitude towards change is a big, important aspect to how you come out of this. So when somebody talks about change, what do we talk about? We talk about accepting change. People tell you, and your folks probably told you when you were growing up, you know what? Change is going to happen. You just got to accept change. And that's what we're taught most of the time. Accept change. I don't like accepting change. And I'll tell you why. Accepting change sort of is this attitude. Well, I don't like change, and change is going to happen. Nothing I can do about it. So I got to accept change. That's not a great attitude. Like, it's getting foisted upon me. I guess I got to take it, right? What if we were to change our attitude to embracing change? Instead of like, all right, it's like, come to me, change. Because change can be good. Change, you don't get better if you don't change. You also don't get worse if you don't change as well. So change can be good or bad, but it's our choice. And the the key component here is our attitude toward it. So I want you to start shifting your mindset away from accepting change and instead embracing change, and then opening your mind up. How will this change my industry? How will this change what I do? How will it change how I do it? How will it change my interactions with real estate agents? How will it change all of this kind of stuff? And then find the ways that you can make something positive come out of it. You know, Zig Ziglar, one of the greatest motivators of all time, probably the greatest motivator of all time, certainly of the 20th century. I had the great fortune of working with Zig, and I had a TV show with Zig called True Performance. You can still find it on YouTube. I was a little bit younger, a lot less wrinkles, but it was fun to work with Zig. It's such a great, positive, motivating guy. And Zig was an old man when I met with him. He was when I worked with him, he was 80. Probably the reason I was asked to co-host the show, you know, to help carry that show for him and allow him to showcase his thoughts and those kinds of things. But he used to talk about the Depression and how people got wealthy during the Depression. And that was when he first realized that you didn't have to be bound by your circumstances, because there were people who got rich during the Depression and succeeded and flourished. And every time there's negative circumstances, there are some people who do well. In fact, you probably have seen on Facebook lots of memes about companies that were started during the last recession and those kinds of things. So I want us just to embrace change, something very, very powerful. And then the last thing that I would share with us is this idea of optimism. How do we choose to be optimistic in the middle of this? We understand that we can embrace change. We understand that we can persevere. We understand that we can come out of this better than before. And I think it really has to do with choosing to be an optimist. Now, let me unwrap that a little bit for you. I was raised by a mother who could do the Sunday morning New York Times crossword puzzle in 11 minutes in pen. Those of you who do crossword puzzles, you know the toughest one is the Sunday morning New York Times crossword puzzle. And who in the world does it in pen? And who in the world does it in 11 minutes? I've seen my mom do it. So she taught me to love words, probably one of the reasons I became a writer. Well, if you break down the root word of certain words, it's really great. I love it. You really can get some rich meaning out of it. But let's break down optimism to the word opt. This is how I remember what optimism really is. It's a great definition. If you opt to do something, what are you doing? You're choosing. So the first and foremost thing I remind myself is that optimism is a choice. I choose what thoughts go in here. I choose what I allow to continue. I choose it. And so optimism is a choice. You can choose to be optimistic or you can choose to be pessimistic. And I would choose to be optimistic because you're going to get a lot more mileage out of that. So the second way that I remember what it is, first being choice, but if you look at the word opt, it is the root word of a kind of medicine. And you think of ophthalmology, optometrist, optometry. Of course, we're talking about the medicine around the eyes. What do you do with your eyes? You see with your eyes. So the way I remember what optimism is optimism is choosing to see the good in every situation. What's the good? What's the good that could come from your business? There is some good that could come from your business, if nothing else than to force you to look at ways that you're going to do your business in a different way. But there's lots of other good, I mean, just looking at this pandemic, I don't spend my time sitting around thinking about the fact that I lost a bunch of speaking engagements. I just don't do it, because all that's going to do is spiral me downward and cause me to feel sad and depressed and focus on the negative. Instead, here's what I focus on. We have our two girls home. Our oldest is a senior, and of course, high school's done now. She's going to Vanderbilt next year, so she'll be heading off soon. Our oldest is a freshman at University of Alabama. Of course, she came home, and now she's with us as well. And here's what I'm telling myself. I get all this time with these girls before they head back to college. We eat dinner together almost every single night now. We play games together almost every single night now. I've played a lot of Sorry in the last couple of months, but that's what we love to do. That's a good thing. That warms my heart. That makes me feel good. That allows me to be optimistic. I also started another business. I started a nonprofit, and I started writing my 22nd book. All really good things that make me feel good. So I really want to challenge us to think through these things. First of all, persevere. Really persevere. Second of all, embrace the change. Embrace it. Don't just accept it. Make that attitude adjustment. And lastly, be optimistic. Choose to be optimistic. Choose to be the person who says, I'm going to find the good in this. I'm going to find good things. In any nook and cranny that I can find good things, I'm going to find good things. So, I'm glad I had an opportunity to share a few things. Just want to encourage you. Just want to help motivate you and challenge you. We're all in this together. We're all going through struggles. We all have those obstacles. But successful people go through, around, and over the obstacles. They don't find themselves under the obstacles or under the circumstances. So, again, we're going to get together eventually when we get all open back up. I'm excited to be with you and to meet all of you, and proud of what you're doing, and proud of how you're making it through this. I know that it's a struggle, but I know that you are a great group of optimistic people, and we're going to come out the other side in a much better place. All right, take care, and I'll see you soon.